If you've ever looked at your marketing career and felt, I don't know, less like a professional on a clear path and more like you're just lost in some giant, confusing airport, this deep dive is definitely for you. We've gone through a stack of sources articles, some internal research, and most importantly, the wisdom of a marketing vet with about 13 years in the business. And what came out of it was this framework that, honestly, it just changes the whole game.
It really does. I think the key insight from the veteran is this big reality check. Marketing isn't just one job. It's an entire ecosystem.
An ecosystem, right.
And if you're feeling stuck, hitting a wall, even though you've got the skills, the diagnosis is almost always the same. You're playing the right sport in the wrong stadium.
Wow. Okay, that metaphor alone is huge.
It is. And that single idea is pretty much the key to unlocking whatever's next for you.
Okay, so let's unpack that right now. Because our mission today is to give you a map of this ecosystem. We're going to break it down into three critical parts.
The environment, that's the stadium.
The specialization, that's your sport.
And the strategic focus. That's about who you're talking to, the psychological brief you have to nail.
And the goal here isn't just to list things off, it's to give you clarity so you can actually map out where you are or where you're trying to go.
Exactly. We want you to stop beating yourself up about your skills and start, analyzing the path itself. Does your work style actually fit the stadium you're in?
Let's start with the biggest piece, the environment. The stadium. The source material basically splits us into three completely different worlds. Let's start with the biggest one, corporate.
Corporate marketing, right?
Right.
This is the world of the macro brand. Think Fortune 500.
Okay.
Your job there is all about large-scale brand strategy and maintenance. The pace is measured, the budgets are massive, but the real challenge...
Let me guess.
Process.
Yeah.
You are steering a supertanker. The intent is huge, but every single turn is slow, deliberate, and needs like 10 layers of approval.
So in that world, a digital marketing manager, their day-to-day isn't really about building a campaign, is it?
Not at all. It's more about getting the $1 million budget approved for the agency that's going to run the campaign. You're a steward.
A steward of the brand guide.
Yes. You're maintaining governance, making sure everything lines up with a 100-page style guide. It's all about mitigating risk.
Okay, so that's the slow, deliberate supertanker. Now let's contrast that with the second environment, the startup life.
Oh, it's the total opposite. If corporate is a supertanker.
A startup is a speedboat held together with duct tape and hope.
Exactly. The source calls the startup marketer a true hybrid. Half designer, half strategist. In corporate, you maintain. In a startup, you build. From zero.
So you're not asking for $1 million budget.
You're figuring out how to stretch $100 on a Facebook ad that you're A/B testing by hand because there's no infrastructure.
So the daily struggle is completely different. In corporate, it's bureaucracy. In a startup, it's what? Just constant fire?
Constant fire drills, yes. And pivot fatigue, you have to be incredibly versatile, ready to change the entire message based on feedback you got 5 minutes ago.
So you're rewarded for speed.
Speed and invention. But the price is often burnout. Because you're doing 5 jobs at once. It's perfect if you love to build, but it will crush you if you need stability.
Which makes the startup marketer sound like the ultimate generalist. Okay, what about the third stadium, the one that sits between these two, the agency grind?
The agency is the bridge, the critical intermediary in this whole ecosystem.
A bridge?
You connect the client, whether that's a giant corporation or a fast-moving startup, to the creative team that has to make it all real.
I've heard people say agency life is just outsourced corporate marketing. How is it really different beyond who signs your paycheck?
The difference is the number of masters you have to serve.
Right.
And the speed of translation required.
Translation.
A corporate marketer goes deep on one brand. An agency marketer has to become a temporary expert on 5 brands in a single day. You take a client's vague dream
and turn it into a concrete, executable brief for a designer who's already overworked.
Yes. The pain point is constant context switching. And managing clients who all think their project is the most important thing in the universe, the burnout there comes from deadline pressure.
So it's the environment that really shapes the job, way more than the title on your business card. That's the stadium. Okay, now let's get into the sport you're playing inside those walls, the specializations.
And this is where it gets really complex. You have these functional specializations, like content marketing.
Right.
The source material notes really became a formal thing around, 2015? When brands realized they needed more than just paid ads to get attention.
And content is all about the what and how of the message, right? The story, the format, how it gets out there.
Precisely. But where this gets really interesting and frankly counterintuitive is in the industry-specific niches. They require some very non-traditional skills.
Okay, give me an example.
Let's take F&B marketing, food and beverage.
Okay, so I'm thinking, beautiful Instagram photos of food, catchy names for cocktails.
That's part of it. But the source provides this incredibly specific breakdown. It says F&B marketing is 50% culinary soul and 50% menu engineering.
50-50. Wait, menu engineering? That sounds so cold and technical.
It is, and that's the nugget right there.
Yeah.
It tells you that just the creative, emotional stuff isn't enough to succeed.
Okay, so what does a marketer need to know about menu engineering? What is that?
It's the strategic heart of the business. It's about plate cost, pricing psychology, where you physically place items on the menu to draw the eye.
The sweet spot on the page.
That's it. And profit margin analysis. The marketer has to balance the emotional appeal of the new dish, the soul, with the hard numbers that keep the business profitable, the engineering. You fail if you can't do both.
That totally reframes the job. It means you need operational skills, technical skills, not just creative ideas.
Absolutely. And we see that same pattern in another niche, event marketing.
Let me guess, it's not just about selling tickets.
Yeah, not even close. We all think it's just promotion, getting people in the door. But the veterans' take is that event marketing is just as much about procurement and logistics as it is about promotion.
So an event marketer is also negotiating venue contracts, managing suppliers, insurance?
Often, yes. It's a supply chain manager with a creative flair. You have to handle vendors, permits, the physical flow of people, and all the risks, from bad weather to liability issues.
If the logistics fail, the promotion doesn't matter.
It's completely irrelevant. The unexpected skill there is this intense organizational rigor. It's a blend of left-brain logistics and right-brain promotion.
So the big lesson for you, the listener, is that specializing often means you have to master skills you'd never connect with marketing, like logistics or financial engineering. The sport itself changes the rules.
If you're an event marketer, you need a totally different knowledge base than a BDC content writer. Realizing that is. It's key to figuring out how to grow.
Okay, so we've mapped the stadium, the environment, and the sport, which is the function. Now for the last piece, maybe the most critical, the strategic lens. This is about who you're talking to, the psychological brief.
This shifts the focus completely. We're moving from the mechanics of the job to the mechanics of, persuasion. And the source breaks this down into three main audiences: B2B, B2C, and B2G.
Business to business, business to consumer, business to government.
And these are not just acronyms. They represent three completely different brains you're trying to convince.
B2C, business to consumer, that's the one we all know. It's about emotion, impulse, personal needs.
Right. And the critical difference the source points out is that each of these requires a fundamentally different psychological brief. B2C is marketing to an individual's desire, fear of missing out, aspiration, that sort of thing. The sales cycle is short.
But for B2B, business to business, it's the total opposite.
A complete inversion. You're not marketing to one person's desire. You're marketing to a committee's fiscal responsibility. The sales cycle is long, 6, maybe 18 months.
You need hard data, case studies, proof of ROI. The emotional pitch just falls flat.
It has to. Because the decision maker's primary motivation isn't, does this make me feel good? It's, will this reduce cost, increase efficiency, and make me look good to my boss for choosing it?
So you go from marketing to desire to marketing to verifiable fiscal safety.
Exactly. And then there's the third one, which is even more specialized, B2G, business to government.
What's the psychological brief there?
With B2G, you move beyond ROI and into the world of compliance and process. If B2B is about reducing financial risk, B2G is about reducing regulatory risk.
Oh, wow.
When you sell to the government, the decision maker's biggest fear isn't losing money. It's breaking a rule, getting audited, or failing to follow some incredibly complex procurement process.
So the marketing itself is just proving you follow the rules. The paperwork is the marketing.
That's a perfect way to put it. Your B2C content might have a snappy headline. Your B2G content needs technical specs, ISO certifications, and flowcharts that prove compliance. Using a B2B strategy there, one focused on profit, will fail. Every time.
This all comes right back to that core idea of the ecosystem. So if you're feeling stuck, this is where you need to look. Where's the misalignment?
That's what the source makes so clear. If you're doing good work but not getting results, it's probably not a skill problem. It could be that you're, say, trying to use a B2C emotional brief on a B2B product.
While working at an agency, when your real talent is for that slow, corporate brand maintenance focused on B2G compliance.
You're playing the right sport, but your psychological brief is completely wrong for the stadium you're in.
So the big realization is that when you make a career change, say from corporate to a niche like F&B, you're not just switching jobs.
Yeah.
You're suddenly having to add menu engineering to your psychological brief. You have to learn a whole new way to persuade.
It's a complete shift in perspective. You have to look at your path and see that moving between these categories requires new skills and, more importantly, a new persuasive engine. The ecosystem demands it.
And that's the power of this map. It turns that feeling of being stuck from, a personal failure into a structural problem you can actually solve.
It does. Mastery in marketing is tied directly to understanding which stadium and which sport demand which psychological brief. You have to know the rules of that specific game.
So to summarize the map we've laid out, your career has three axes: the environment, corporate, startup, agency, the specialization, content, F&B, events, and so on, and the strategy, B2B, B2C, B2G. Your specific job exists at the intersection of those three. Marketing is absolutely not a monolith. It's a living ecosystem.
And as you think about this map and your own path, here's a final thought. We've established that B2B, B2C, and B2G all need a different psychological brief. We also saw that F&B requires mastering a technical skill, like menu engineering, to really sell the culinary soul. So if that unexpected skill reveals something deep about the brief for that niche, what does the need for procurement and logistics and event marketing reveal about the psychological brief needed to sell an experience? What's the unexpected non-promotional skill that's essential in your chosen specialization? Think about that intersection and just how deep your own mastery really needs to go.